stuck in the past. From the first click to the last cheer, every frame says we're right here. Charge up the stream, let it glow right now. Hey, hey. Turn up the screen, feel the whole place loud. All eyes on the scene, yeah, we stand our ground. Charge up the screen, we don't slow down. Hit play, we're live. Little spark in the wire eyes. New day, same drive. Watch the numbers climb while I thrive. From the first click to the last cheer, every frame says we're right here. Charge up the stream, let it glow right now. Hey, hey. Turn up the screen, feel the whole place loud. All eyes on the scene, yeah, we stand our ground. Charge up the stream, we don't slow Chat scrolls so fast, got the squad in the box, we laugh. One goal, outlast every doubt that was stuck in the past. From the first click to the last cheer, every frame says we're right here. Charge up the stream, let it glow right now. Hey, hey. Turn up the screen, feel the whole place loud. All eyes on the scene, yeah, we stand our ground. Charge up the screen, we don't slow down. Hit play, we're live. Little spark in the wire, I rise. New day, same drive. Watch the numbers climb while I thrive. From the first click to the last year, every frame says we're right every heart in the seat. 22 men, but there's only one crown. We don't come to play, we come to shut it down. Calculated movement, precision in the stride. Turn the volume up, flicker on the light. We're under the lights, yeah, we're chasing the glory. 90 on the clock, we're riding the story. 0 to 100, never looking back. Line 'em up, break 'em down, stay on the attack. This is the moment, this is the stage. Flip the script, yo, we're turning the page. This is the moment. This is the stage. Ice in the veins when the pressure gets heavy. Wall in the back, keep the front line steady. One touch, one shot, one chance to be great. History is calling, don't leave it to fate. From the first whistle to the final scream, living for the match, dying for the dream. Game over, but the grind never stops. See you on the pitch, straight to silence. Oh, fade to silence.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another stream on the channel. It's been a while since I've actually used this platform, so well for this sort of content. So I'm trying to navigate it with the differences with what I usually use it for. Now, as you guys can see, we'll be having a discussion about the next head coach that it could be. Now, to my left, and also for persons viewing, it should be on your left as well. We have 4 names or 4 managers who have been listed on a supposed longer short list. So we'll see what of shortlisted managers, I should say. My English is horrible right now. Now I know that many persons see they don't fancy some of the options there. Iraola, for example, we're going to discuss that. Felipe Luis. So, all right. So, just trying to rectify some stuff and also ensure that communicates between the person that I'm going to bring on right now. So, as I said, thank you to everybody that's tuning so far. But also, please help me welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Jerry Z, to the Sense channel once more. Welcome. And how are you doing today, Sir Jerry?
Um, Hi, Tyrone. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Mhm. All right, so I'm just going to look. I saw in the chat earlier before I proceed. So, Blue Line Josie was saying, can't wait for the show. Then, of course, I was trying to trigger some commands. So, skip that. And then they repeated it again and said, can't wait. Fabregas me. So, Blue Line, who their option is. And big up to Miss Melina, who was here previously. Not sure if she's still here. Jerry, I don't know how she knew that you're going to be on the stream, but she knew before. Interesting. So big up to Miss Molina, and of course Chelsea Perspective was in the chat as well. Says hashtag Molina out. So I'm not gonna wait, man. Jerry. So I'm gonna do a little brief, not too long, but I want us to cover, as this will be the first thoughts being shared here about the situation surrounding the sacking or the relieving of duties of Liam Rosenior after 3 months at the helm. So what are your thoughts on that? And of course, you can of course what you think of the shortlist or the names that have been shortlisted so far, and I'll accompany it with some other sources as well.
Yeah, so it's disgraceful and embarrassing, the situation with Liam Rosenior. 6 plus 1 year, 6 year contract with an option to extend for further year. He's the man. All of that PR, this and that, in just 107 days, right? So, and like we talked on that day, like I actually thought maybe I'll just as like just and my life, I mean, because that was so embarrassing. I couldn't face anyone in the office, couldn't see anyone, and I questioned so many things, and it made me I had to say blue co out. I had to say blue co out because that is unacceptable. It's playing with the feelings of the fans. It's unprofessional. It's not calculated. They're not backing their own plan. Their project, started with sacking Tuchel. Okay, I mean that was horrible, but I'm said okay because every time a new management ownership comes, they want to have their own personnel. So history always repeats itself. So I'm like, okay, and then Graham Potter, fine, 5 year contract, sacked him in 6 months. Pochettino, 2 year contract, got rid of him in 1 year. Got Enzo Maresca, which was a questionable hiring, but when Enzo Maresca finally started doing well, got the grip, and started showing that he belongs to the next level, had no communication relationship with him, did not try. We don't know, by the way, what happened behind the scenes, but we can say that of course they were rigid and did not uh, facilitate or did not empower Enzo Maresca, who was doing very well. And I was a huge critic of Enzo Maresca, for the record. Okay, Enzo Maresca left probably, or they parted ways. Liam came in. He was a person of coming from, let's say, the homegrown talent, like from their own project from Strasbourg, understands the concept, understand the ownership, the project, the infrastructure, the vision, and all of those fancy words, right? Came in, had a great start. A lot of people were excited. We were excited. And then, of course, it went south from the PSG game, and then 5 losses in a row without scoring a goal, which is very bad, is unacceptable, but it's not a point where you sack the manager, right? Even if they had to take that move, should have been at the end of the season, and not now. So, all of this shows me that it's very unprofessional. They don't do their work correctly, they don't do their research correctly, and now they are saying, okay, we'll learn from our mistakes and we'll do something right. And for once, I have zero faith and belief uh, what they will do will take us to where we want to be, right? So yeah, so at this moment, the both the eye test and the data test for me is like negative when it comes to Chelsea ownership and the sporting directors. Tyrone.
That's very interesting because, well, you gave us a whole history of the whole situation with the coaches that they've had, and that's and it's valid, but you kind of when question asked for, but that's the excellence that you have. So you know how to share as much insight as possible. So thank you very much. So now for the next part in which you did not respond to the short list of coaches that have been reported so far.
The shortlist itself is interesting. It's good. There are some good personnel in that shortlist, and if they can only get the right person, then it will only make sense. But that will be the first step, right? Again, not only to get the right person, but then to get along with that person, have a clear communication, empower that coach manager, and give that manager time. It requires time. If they want to go with the same structure, which is fine, the youth and all that, then give the coach manager time. So the short list is on face value is good, is very appealing.
Okay. Think to put it into perspective as well. These are some quotes from X. Um, of course, quoting what some persons were saying. So this is it. So Chelsea have 5 sporting directors and at least one co-owner who takes on an hands-on approach. I don't know why I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. To the football side of the business. So any coach who wants full control can forget it. That's for Matt Law first and foremost. The next thing is the next head coach will have to work with the sporting directors and be willing to be part of the decision-making process rather than leading it. And that's the most important thing. And I'm going to get your thoughts now, Jerry. The next head coach, which we already had a conversation about what head coach even means. So I have no problem about that part. Will have to work with the sporting directors and be willing to be part of the decision-making process rather than leading it. So what are your thoughts on this? And does this impact your thoughts on who they could potentially get in the future from that shortlist?
Again, there are many ways to look at it, to interpret it, and to agree or disagree with it. Personally, I don't think so that the head coach should be a puppet or should be like just there in the boardroom and just have a say. Okay, maybe I want that, and then he or she would be notified. It's the most competitive time in the Premier League history. You need competitive edge. So I'll try to be brief. You need the guy or the girl who is or will be running the show. You need to give them that extra edge. Who will train the players, who will build the team and get the results. There has to be a certain level of trust and input from the manager in recruitment. When it comes to recruitment, you have a budget, you have a certain profile, you have a certain idea how you go about it, how you want to go about it. That's fine. But then again, in that framework, working in that framework, you should let the manager either have a say, like, okay, like give me this player if possible. If it's matching that budget, the age profile, XYZ. Not just okay, like we have these players and that's you work with them. How would you challenge City? How would you challenge Arsenal? How would you challenge a resurrected Manchester United moving forward? You need that extra edge. But that's my opinion, right? The other thing is that this is what they want. I have no problem personally because at least they're clear from the first day that sporting directors will be will have the authority or the leverage to decide what they want, and the head coach will basically be doing things on the field rather than off the field, but can be a part of the discussion, but not not having a certain authority or levy to dictate things. So I mean, I don't agree with it, but if at least they're clear with that from the first stage, so that is okay. That is okay. Like, okay, that's what they want. Fine. This is a way of doing business. Now to the last part of the question, that how would it affect the signing of the new coach, that's a personal thing, a personal choice of that coach. How, because again we have to look at the bigger picture. A lot of clubs, most of the clubs are having this same model of the sporting directors calling the shots. So Arsenal, City apart, we have most of the clubs like Arteta and Guardiola heavily linked in the transfers, but most of the clubs we know it's sporting directors and the coaches would have a limited say. So I don't see that. I don't see it as a big challenge or a barrier rather to have the coach we want, because they will say no X Y Z. What they may say is not that we want more authority or more input in the decision making. They may, rather than this issue, they may be talking about the bigger picture. Maybe, I don't know. Depends who they want to go for. What is that coach thinking? How did that coach see the last 2 3 years at Chelsea Football Club? So what I'm trying to say over here is, rather than that coach worrying about the input in recruitment, he or she may discuss like, hey, what's the plan moving forward? Do you really want to go for 17, 18, 19 from XYZ countries who have just done a season here or there? Would you rather go for some experienced player? Would you go from players of this profile? Maybe they want to discuss that before signing, rather than being concerned about the underlying factors of getting involved with selecting the players. I think they just want to have that understanding or that agreement of what the recruitment will look like moving forward. And if they can agree to it, then I don't think so the head coach will be overly worried about things moving forward.
Okay. Um. Well, I mean that's a fair point, and I'm gonna reply to. But I just want to just read this tweet that I have up to the right. So the most important thing here is to consider the fact that it's a short list, and a short list things can change. And as of course what Simon Phillips is reporting here, citing someone else, he says, I'm told there are more candidates who haven't yet been made public for the Chelsea job as they're whittling down a short list. Same as what happened when Maresca was hired ahead of McKenna, Frank, Deserbi. So that is another thing. But regarding what you said, and I know that probably you can attest to this. Garvan and I, when we had a private conversation, we were letting you know that our concern is not about the fact that signing young players is the thing. The problem is there. If you look at the way things are going right now, Chelsea have gone through 6 coaches in the space of 4 years of this ownership, almost 4 years of this ownership, 3.5 or nearly, or 3 and 11 months, 3 years 11 months of this ownership, and that's not good. That is not good at all. We had Tuchel's there. Yes, they sacked him in September, early in that tenure that they had. Then you had Graham Potter. Then you had Pochettino. Then you had Maresca, ever senior. So I should say 5, not 6, 5. 5. If I include the interim coaches, then that would probably go up. But interim doesn't really matter fully. But I would say we're gonna have 7 interims. Lampard will make another interim list, and of course Colin McFarlane would be this with the 7th. Of course, with the fact that he's gonna be here supposedly until the end. But what we were saying is that the whole essence is that if coaches are looking at what is going on at the club, they're going to realize that there's instability, there's uncertainty, because it's a case where, and I had this conversation with you, that these owners and the sporting directors seem confused. They don't know what they want. And I use the analogy, and when I said it, people laughed. But the reality is, it's like a female having options in terms of males that they could end up being in a relationship with or have a partnership with. And at the end of it, they say, you know what? No, I changed my mind because I'm not getting the satisfaction, or you're not doing what I want you to be doing in this time frame that I want you to be doing it. So I'm going to move on. And then it's a case, okay, one relationship lasts longer than what is common with that individual. And then you realize, okay, all right, there's another situation where things just get sour. and then you get another relationship or partnership, and then 3 months later, and that is me referencing Liam Rosenior here. 3 months you say, okay, yeah, this is not working out either. I wanted this to be happening and it's not happening. So it's like they don't know what they want. They keep changing their mind. And we had this conversation as well, Jerry, about the fact that when they had the likes of Graham Potter, they gave him a 5-year contract. They sacked him after how much months was it? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months. 8 months in to that 5-year contract. They sacked him in April. And then they brought in Pochettino. Well, Pochettino, yeah, Pochettino came in and they gave him a 2-year contract. Of course, things went south because he wanted certain freedom. But they did establish that he's a head coach, not a manager. And you mentioned that already, that a head coach responsibility is different from a manager's responsibility. The head coach is responsible for the recruitment aspect, in terms of not recruitment, the tactical part. And the managers are usually responsible for recruitment and, of course, being a part of that alongside the tactical component. But head coaches are strictly tactics and only dealing with the tactical part and coming up with game plans, training sessions, etc. So that part is, of course, there. But there was a breakdown because he wanted certain things to work out the way it didn't work out. But the next thing is with Maresca. They gave him a 5-year contract, or is it 5-year plus 1? I think it was. You can correct me if I'm wrong because you're more acquainted with what the contract length were.
Five plus one.
Right. So 5 plus 1. So that you can see that. And after what? 18. Yeah, 18 months. 18 months, yeah. After
Yeah,
18 months.
you can say from July, yeah.
Yeah,
Or if
July.
you talk about the
July.
full season, then it's about 1 year, 4 months technically. Yep.
Yeah. 4 months. Okay, yeah, fair. But it's 18 months in terms of how long he was the head coach, or announced as the head coach. And then after that, they say, okay, yeah, we're going to go to Liam Rosenior because he's in the Blue Co model already at Strasbourg. So let us find that person who's perfect because he's already in the ecosystem of what we want to do. So he'll understand because we've already set the foundation with him. He understands and he's doing okay at Strasbourg. So let us just stick with him and stick him in, I should say. And boom, they give him a 6-year plus with an option for another year. And yeah, that was January. And then boom, April. Nah, psych. I no longer think you're okay to stay at the club. So we're gonna sack you because things are getting bad. And I have to say, when I did that stream about it immediately as I saw the news, I was saying, okay, fair enough. That makes no sense. But with the things that came out after, it made me think that yeah, there was no point of return for him because the players didn't respect him in the first place. But I don't want us to be divulging into the past. We're going to be discussing the short list, but just to give a little ideology and respond to what you said, it poses a concern for me as to getting a top coach. And there's other quotes that I'm going to be sharing when I also be reading an article. I can't share it because I'll be copyrighted, but I read it, the important parts. But I just wanted to speak about this because it does make me worried, and I don't think any coach is going to want to come into a situation where they don't have any freedom at all in terms of saying that I want this type of profile. But no, that's not going to be the case at Chelsea. They do decide the profile that you get, and then you have to find a way to make it work. And then they give an idea of what the profile they're looking for, and then you will be in the conversation. They say that, okay, do you think you can work with this guy? You say no. They say, okay, can you try to make it work? If you find a compromise and they say, okay, fine, let's move on to somebody else. But you will not be making the final decision. They will decide if it's going to be moving on or not. But yeah, that's just one quote there from that. This is the next thing from Vince Blue Footy. It says 5 key areas for Chelsea to consider according to Matt Law: collaboration, top level experience. That's very interesting. Communication, trophy record, and style of play. So you can see that their mindset has changed yet again because collaboration was the first thing that was important to them. Top level experience was 50-50. I'm not sure if we had any of the coaches that they hired in the past had top level experience, but we'll see. Trophy record, the only thing Maresca had was the championship. And well, he had won the EDS. He had won the PL2 with the EDS team of Man City. That was about it. But Strasbourg with Rosenior, he didn't have any trophies at all. Top level experience, I don't know about that. Style of play, that's something that they consider, but they flip from offensive to defensive, offensive to defensive, offensive. So I don't know about that. But what do you think about these key areas that according to Matt Law is what they'll be considering to decide who comes in as the next coach?
Bro, it's all a joke, to be very honest. It's fancy words you hear it. I'd see in the meeting in my office, like, so it's just laughable, bro. Communication. Of course, communication should be there. Top coach. What is there? Can you read? I'm on my phone. If you don't mind, can you read this again, please?
Collaboration, top level experience, communication, trophy record, style of play.
Okay, so communication, collaboration, and all of that is obvious. Style of play and trophy cabinet. So I mean, trophy cabinet is important to a certain degree. And when I say that, of course, I want to win every year, right? Every trophy. When I say it's important, it depends on if you're, let's say if you want to go for Cesc Fabregas, you won't say, okay, the trophy, there's no trophy cabinet over there. You have to see how long he's been in the job, which club he's coaching. You see, context matters again. So trophy cabinet would matter, of course, if a certain coach has been given an opportunity at a top club and has not delivered, then you may raise a question. You see what I mean? Style of play, I personally think it's. I mean, again, it's the style of play. We can do a video for 2 hours on this. It's so deep and it's very important because there are two things. Like, if they have a certain, the sporting directors have a certain profile and a squad that they think may go with a certain or with click with a certain style of play or the attributes of that squad or the players, the way, the reason that they signed those players is that that style of play would work with them, then definitely. So it's, so I'm just trying to touch the tip of the iceberg. If style of play is that important, so first of all, I don't think so that the coach, sorry, the sporting directors and the owners should sit in their home and having a coffee or playing FIFA and say, "Okay, we fancy this style of play." I hope that's not the case. They should look at the squad and the future recruitment and see like what can be done. Like, do we think which style of play? Do we think a certain style of play would work for this team rather than a personal preference? This is what I'm trying to say. Okay, if style of play is that important for them, then as you said, the most important thing I think that has been said so far was said by you in the show is from attacking to defensive, from defensive to attacking, from attacking to defensive, from high line to pragmatic. What is this? This is nonsense, right? So they're not even backing that claim. How will a young squad, players who are young and developing, how would it aid or facilitate their growth when they have to adapt each year or every few months to a certain style of play? So if they want a certain style of play, fair enough, then stick to it. Stick to it. So style of play is important, but at this moment, I don't think so because the players are all over the place. They rehearsed for a year under Pochettino in a high press style. They took a lot of time and then they finally came to their own and started playing very well under Enzo Maresca's very technical, pragmatic approach. And then again, Liam Rosenior, chaotic, high press style. So what's next? And we'll of course discuss about when we discuss about the potential coaches. So what's next? Will they keep on switching? Will they keep on playing or getting the coaches based on their feeling at that time, or they want to establish a style of play and stick to it, Tyrone?
Yeah, that's that's reality, and that's what I'm saying. As I said earlier, they seem to don't know what they want to do because 1 minute is yeah we want this type of thing, the next minute no, actually no, that's not what we want. But the thing is that's what they're saying now. You know, the message or the announcement that of the sacking of Rosenior, they said that they're going to be taking some time to do some self-reflection and so that they can see what's the best thing in terms of head coach long term. So if that is if via their self-reflection they decided that this is the best thing to do going forward, then fantastic, fine. But it does show that there's inconsistency again because Rosenior didn't have any trophy record. Um, top level experience. His top level experience is Strasbourg, and he had to face off against teams um, like PSG. Fine, but that's PSG. That's not really, and that's no disrespect to League in terms of the other teams, but the experience wasn't really there. And then had the Conference League that he had this season with them as well. Earlier part of this season, um, at Strasbourg in the Conference League, they were doing well in the Conference League as well. But then what's this whole thing? I don't think collaboration was an issue with Rosselló, to be honest. Maybe Moresca gave them that problem. Maybe Pochettino did. But the reality is, I don't know. The club confuses me because I don't know what they really want. They say they want one thing, and then the next minute they don't. They remind me of females, their emotions shift from one thing to the next, mood swings and everything, in that sense. But I digress. I digress from that point. I'm going to move to the next thing. This is another thing from Matt Law. So it says Stuttgart coach Sebastian. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. It's a German name. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna skip it. Is somebody Chelsea have looked at in the past. I do remember that he was linked with Chelsea back before we got Moresca. He was on that short list of names. No, this is what Matt Law continues to say. He lacks some top-level experience, but has won the German Cup as a coach. Italian reports have linked Antonio Conte with a stunning return to Stamford Bridge. That idea might fall down at the collaboration stage. That's Matt Law. That sounds opinionated. But what do you think about this, Jerry?
I've been a huge fan of Conte. You know that very well. Absolutely love Conte. And the last time we won the league was under him as well, 9 years ago. Wow, 9 years. Going into the 10th year now next season, but of course it doesn't make any sense at all. So I don't think so. I need time to elaborate on it because the sporting directors, the ownership, they want a certain way of doing things, and they want, like, okay, you have to agree, you have to abide by it, and you have to agree to this XYZ. And Antonio Conte, I'm not saying that he's a bad person or anything. I think he's a lovely person, but based on how good he has done most of the times, especially in the leagues, and how much he is vocal, and how much he wants to have his way, and how much he wants to have his say, is fine. But I don't think so that will work at all. It's a no brainer. It won't work. It cannot work. I don't think so that they can have a fruitful conversation for 10 minutes. I don't know. I mean, it's quite obvious to me. How in the world can the owner sporting directors convince Conte to come and take the job? First of all, would they? That would require them to change a lot, right? And that's not happening. And then, why would Conte accept the situation at Chelsea right now and take this job? Maybe just for the money? Maybe. Yes, so I think Tyrone is coming back in a second. So Antonio Conte to Chelsea is not happening, man. So it's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. Um,
Okay. So
yes,
so
Tyrone.
so yeah, as you said, in terms of the fact that collaboration and how he's very vocal, and he of course wants to be able to have a large say in what happens. I do agree that that may be a stumbling part of any sort of conversation if it were indeed true. Um, but yeah, I do think that's a fair assessment of the thing with Conte. Conte, of course, was the last coach that Chelsea won the league with, and you're saying next season, but it'll actually be this season that will make it 10 years. So, well, no, I'm actually talking garbage. You know what I just said? Yeah, it's actually 9 years. No, at the end of the season. So fair enough.
It's 9, 10 years. It's the same. Now we are like a decade into it, right?
Yeah, yeah. This will be it. We won the league in 2017. So technically, you look at it, yeah, but it will be 9 years. At the end of the season, 26, 27 would make it officially 10 years, or 10 seasons. But yes, this is the next thing. So Chelsea have five sporting directors and at least one co-owner. I think I mentioned it already, who takes on hands-on approach to football side. As I said, do you think that this is a good thing having five sporting directors?
No, I don't think so. I think two is fine. Even one is, but like with one, you would the person can be left alone, can be like, okay, it's my way or the highway. So I think it should be two. I don't see any need to have five sporting directors. It does not make any sense at all. If anything, you need a team, and they have a team. It's not just two or five sporting directors. They have the whole data team, this team, recruitment team, who give them all sort of information. So you need a team around them, right? But in terms of sporting directors, their job is, of course, to make the move to finally recruit the players, or but the work is not done by the sporting directors. When I say the work, the underlying work is done by their team. So I don't know how many people are, like I heard there are like 150 people in Manchester United. So we don't know the staff that is involved with the sporting directors. So the sporting directors themselves, I don't see any reason. As much as I'm open for change and for new ideas, five, people don't get along, especially when you have to make big decisions. I always thought one, but then again, of course, with one, as I already said, if one person can be a one man show or one woman show, and sometimes it's not good, right? You want two people, so you have different ideas. They can check and keep them in balance, or ensure that they have good ideas and they can work together. If and it's very important for the sporting directors, two or more, to be on the same page uh in terms of the vision and where they're going with that. So yeah, to answer your question, five, I mean, it's hilarious. I would only say wow, five, if so far we have seen progress, we have seen fruits, then I'm saying okay, they are doing something right. Maybe they are adding more people, and they have a plan. So if anything, it's inversely proportional. It's not making any sense to me at all. What do you have to say on this?
Well, I was trying to find the idiom before I use it. One thing I've always heard is that too many cooks spoil the broth, or too many cooks in the kitchen can spoil the broth. So, in terms of this, yeah, I get what you mean, and I do agree with you that when you have more persons or more personnel, it does help to give you different thoughts, because the possibility that every time both persons will agree or have the exact same ideas is not high. People are different, people are unique, and people think differently, or they should think differently. So I don't think that should necessarily is a problem. Two, as you said, would have been fine, but five is massive. But we also have to remember the fact that even the ownership, it's split into a consortium. It's multiple people with different investments, shares, and all of that. And uh, I know with clearly they have, as it 61% or something like that. Todd Bowley has 20 something percent. You have the Swedish guy Wiss, who has probably like 3% or something along those lines, and you have other investors who have like 1 or 2%, 4% here and there. So it's a consortium, and they have a less say, but at the same time, when you have more than one person making the decision, it can result in decisions taking longer to be made, because you have to have 2/3 or whatever amount of persons there is to have a quorum, and then you decide on that. Or you also have a case where, if it's one ownership, as we saw with Roman, it was a case where decisions were moving rapidly, or if something was dissatisfying in their opinion, they'll make the decision quickly and boom, you're gone, or whatever the case may be. We're not going to get this player, we're going to get this player immediately. And we saw that in the latter parts, although the recruitment was iffy. people would say, with Marina Ganovskaya and Roman Abramovich not being able to be in the country, all of that stuff. So yeah, I do agree with you in that sense. But this is the next thing. So it says Chelsea want their next permanent head coach to have top level experience, as you mentioned. That means having worked or played in the top league, or for a top league club, or I can't talk, or at a top club, and ideally having experience of combining domestic and European football. Interesting. So will not disqualify Iraola, but we're going to discuss that. We'll see. I don't, at least for as much as I can remember, I don't think Iraola has played at a top team. And no disrespect to Bournemouth, but I don't see them. I haven't seen them in the European competitions of late to say that they're combining having to play domestically and Europe and in Europe. So, what do you think about this? This is more insight into what exactly they mean by a top coach or top level experienced coach.
Well, first of all, we don't know how true it is, right? That they really want to go for a coach who has coached in the top five league and also coach in Europe. I mean, if it's 100% true, then we can all filter and just say in this list only Xabi Alonso is the one who will take the job. Then, right? So there's no more discussion. So we have seen in the past, in the last year, last 5 years, not just Chelsea, last 10, 15 years, Madrid, United, City, not City, we just have Guardiola there for 10 years now. And you know what I mean? In many clubs, we have, whenever they want to go for a coach in the summer, before the summer, we have so many reports, change all the time, change. So, but okay, if we go with on the face value, they want a coach who has coached in the top league, that would be the top five leagues in Europe, and has a pedigree of coaching in Europe, that would be the elite European competition, of course. So only Xabi Alonso in this profile, if I'm or Diego Simeone, if he is indeed in the list, would make this list. It's no Cesc Fabregas, no Rola, and other managers. Eddie Howe would make the list as well. So Eddie Howe, Simeone, and Alonso. But my personal opinion would be that it's crazy. This is not required. It's not mandatory, and it has no significance if a coach has coached in Europe or not. Absolutely makes no difference. If we are talking about the profile, is more or less the same, with Alonso having a little bit more experience coaching at Leverkusen. We need to. I think what we need to see is, if I'm there, all the boxes, like what kind of a coach I want, the communication, collaboration, as you said, all the fancy words, style of play, performance so far, the ceiling, the potential, and add data to it, not use data first. So if Alonso has coached, I'm just saying, I love Alonso, right? You know that. If Alonso has coached in Europe, like in the Europa League or Champions League, or with Bundesliga, won the league, I mean, that should give him an edge, surely, but that shouldn't be a requirement that should take out the likes of Cesc Fabregas just because he had not had the chance yet, in my opinion, Tyrone.
I understand what you mean. The thing is, though, I think if this is indeed true, I think what they're saying is that in the sense of having the coach have an understanding of having to balance a packed week or packed schedule. I think maybe that is what is being referenced here, to say that okay, if the coach doesn't have top level experience, and top level experience would mean that you have to combine playing in Europe or playing in multiple competitions simultaneously and trying to have a good performance at the end of the season, and probably winning trophies or winning a trophy. So I can understand that, but as you said, it's a very fine line, because if you look at it, many coaches, they don't, the only way they're going to have top level experience is if they get an opportunity to be at a top level team. So that is why it's a mixed bag, because how you gonna know their potential if they've never been at that top level before? And how do you know that if you don't give an opportunity to somebody, they will not be able to do things? And the only way you can strive in life is if you get an opportunity, and if you take that opportunity and run with it, and you thrive based on what you do in terms of your ability and execution. So yeah, We can use Maresca for example. He was signed. He became the coach. His experience in terms of a top level, and if you could say, I don't know if you could say that was a top level, but at a team that was at the top at one time of their life, um, he brought them back up. Although of course, he left before they got relegated again. But that was it. His accolades at that time as a coach was winning the PL2 with the development squad of Man City, and winning the championship with Leicester City and bringing them back up to the Premier League. But at the end of the day, we both have our thoughts on the trophies that were won, but many people view it as winning top trophies. And he won two trophies. So no matter what we think, it's still trophies at the end of the day. The trophies were lifted, prize money was won, and he was able to leave at the end of it with his head held high because he knew that he won two trophies at least, which was, of course, the first two trophies that these owners would have had um, under their regime. But anyways, this is not going to be a show down memory lane. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. But as you said, for sure, this does give you some sort of perspective on what perhaps could be the case if this is indeed true, as you rightfully said as well. So I'm going to move on to the next thing here that I have. And this is saying, what is it? Where is this? Where is it? I think I'm skipping something. Okay. All right. So this is the next thing. So it says, this is from Alex Crook of Talk Sport. It says that they were told that Chelsea reached out yesterday to the agent of Xabi Alonso. Talksport, I don't know about the credibility of Talksport, but Alex Crook said on Talksport that there was contact with Xabi Alonso's agent. What do you think about this? There's a continuation of this, but I want to get your thoughts before I share that part.
Yes, just give me a second, please.
All right, so
Just a second.
let me see if I can find the other one. Okay, it speaks specifically about why they felt confident that they could do that as well.
Okay. So I think that's a reliable report because the other sources, and it's not a surprise at all. Having made a contact is not a big deal, and they know. And of course, why not? It's no brainer. Xabi Alonso, what he has done so far in the limited time he has been a head coach is fantastic. Real Madrid people have different opinion, different say. We can discuss that. It may not be a success for the 5 months he was there, but there are so many factors. So I don't think so. It hurt his progress. If anything, he's more in demand after that. So having a contact is fine, and it would make sense as well because if Liverpool part ways with Slot, which they should, in my opinion, then Xabi Alonso will become obviously the favorite to take that hot seat. So, if anything, if they actually made a contact, which I would believe based on numerous sources, then at least it shows that they have initiated the contact and they are aware that Alonso, not just Liverpool, but other top clubs across Europe may go for him. So, if that's the situation, then I mean, it's nothing to celebrate, but it's good. It's positive. They had talks with Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique. We know how it went, so I won't look too much into that at this moment. Xabi Alonso would be a huge signing if we can pull this off. So I'm not really excited at this time based on the patterns and the history, but I'm sure they had a conversation with him. Tyrone.
Mm. Right. So as I said, there's another part of it that wasn't added. So it says Alex Hook had said that Chelsea has reached out to Xabi Alonso's agent. It appears that Slot will remain at Liverpool, which creates an opportunity for Chelsea to land the Spaniard. That's what Alex Cook said, at least. Um, Someone in the chat in the comments actually said that this is a smoke screen because he doesn't suit this. Okay, I'm not gonna read that part, but it says he's a big character, he's a winner, he demands standard, and that's a no-no for Igbali. Well, that's opinionated, but we'll see. They need a yes man who can develop their kids to sell for profit and pay their debts. And then of course we see hashtag Bluco out there. Yep, very interesting. But as you said, they spoke with, as you said, Luis Enrique. They spoke to the likes of Julian Nagelsmann. Even Hansi Flick was there at one point. So it's not like at the end of it they got any of those coaches. We don't know the full context of what happened. We just know that certain things occurred and none of those options were selected at the end of the day. No. I'm just gonna read the article. As I said, I can't share it because I'll be copyrighted. So I'm just gonna read it. So it says new Chelsea manager update as talks begin over top candidates. This is from the standard.co.uk. So it says Marco Silva is a candidate to become Chelsea's next head coach. Standard Sport has learned the club. Okay, let me stop sharing so that I can show back the picture. But yeah, so I'm gonna just read the article that's here. So Standard Sports has learned the club will explore his availability for the role by reaching out to his representatives. Silva features on a list of several candidates to take on the Chelsea job this summer, and checks are being made on the individual circumstances of each. It is understood that Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola features prominently on that list of early front runners. Will leave Bournemouth when his current contract expires at the end of the season, with Marco Rose already confirmed as his replacement. Xabi Alonso, who has been out of work since leaving Real Madrid in January, is also one of the candidates Chelsea will check on. Fulham boss Silva is out of contract this summer, and his future with the Cottagers, I should say, is in some doubt as well. It also says, while some senior figures at Fulham remain confident that Silva will pen a new contract and extend his 5-year stay with Chelsea's West London, others are less convinced. Fulham are currently 10th in the Premier League table, level on 48 points with 8th place Chelsea. 8th place Chelsea. Following Liam Rosenior's sacking last week, after only 3 months in charge as Maresco, Chelsea's co-sporting directors Paul Stanley and Lawrence Stewart began to compile a list of contenders. Contact will be made with the representatives of their top candidates, as Chelsea try to ascertain their levels of interest in the role. There are believed to be others besides Iraola, Silva, and Alonso. Sources close to the club say Chelsea intend to hold a robust recruitment process and not rush the appointment of their next permanent head. This company is taking into the summer when that new appointment will be made, and began with victory on Sunday as Chelsea beat Leeds FA Cup final. A formal offer is yet to be sent to any candidates as Chelsea are still in the relatively early stages of the process. So that is the entire article that was posted on standard.co.uk under the bracket or the section of sports, and specifically football and Chelsea FC. So Jordan here said that this is that Xabi Alonso is a legend at Liverpool, so that poses a thing there. But yeah, that's that part. So I'm gonna just go to the next thing here that I have, and it's an update regarding I had mentioned about the recruitment aspect. So where is it? I'm trying to find it. But let me look at the poll first while I am trying to do this. So, all right. So looking at the poll, we have 9 votes. 22% says Iraola, says Fabregas. 33% also says Xabi Alonso, and 11% says other. I asked for a split of who that other option is. No response yet. But if you are watching now and you've voted other, please specify who it would be in your opinion, and we can have a conversation there. But yes, trying to see if I can find that article or that tweet the coach that Chelsea could go to. Right, so just bear with me. Let me just quickly try to just find it. But drop a like on the stream if you haven't already. Not see what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. It appears that I've lost it. Yeah, so I said I'm trying to see. I mentioned something about Enzo Fernandez as well. It was from the Portuguese sources that we've seen become popular. We're talking about, but I'm trying to see if I can find it, but I'm not seeing it. Very strange. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but I'm not seeing it. Let me look it up here and see if I can find it here. It says okay, so this I think I found it. So this is what I was talking about. It referenced Fernandez, of course, Argentinian source. I don't know. I think I said Portuguese. But I don't know. I don't even know what I said. But this again. Share the screen. So as you can see, it says this. I'm gonna zoom it in. So it says breaking: Enzo Fernandez is close to having a new manager at Chelsea as they advance for Xabi Alonso. And as you can see, it says via TYC Sports. So that's that. But let me know what you guys think about the options. Do you think Felipe Luis would be an option that Chelsea will consider or even approach? Let me know what you guys think about that. I'll just wait to see if anybody replies to that. But in terms of the options, Fabregas, one option that Jerry mentioned earlier, could be on that list, could make a claim for himself. And in terms of what he's achieved with Como so far, it's no secret. And he offers a sort of style of play that perhaps Chelsea would like to see. It's possession based. There's some belief that he should try to retain the ball, which is something that they had with Maresca, who was at the club in the past. But will they go back to wanting some possession-based thing? That is the question. But in terms of Fabregas' tactics and what he probably can offer, it's no secret that he made a promising start to life as a head coach with Como in Italy's Serie A. And of course, we know that he was a wonderful player for Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea, and Spain. And of course, his ball playing ability was one that nobody could ever dispute against. But in terms of what he offers, he loves to use a 4-2-3-1 structure, and that's what he's done at Como. During the build-up, he typically likes to do a double pivot sort of situation, and it often drops towards the ball. The double pivot, I should say, actually. Rotations do, of course, take place around and ahead. And of course, the fullbacks are tasked with being advanced, making advances. The double pivot will drop as well. They move wider to cover that sort of areas in which the fullbacks will leave behind. And of course, they would support the back line or the rest of the back line, with the centre backs, of course, being the area that you should mention there. And of course, when they're building, it's always progressing, trying to progress. Typically, you see like a temporary single pivot at certain intervals, which is similar to what we saw typically with Moresca and Liam Rosenior in terms of having one push up and be more advanced. But of course, the in defensive um, parts of or portions of the game, you see it be a case where the double pivot becomes deep, but one typically advances as you progress towards trying to score. So yeah, that is a very crucial thing. So let me know. We have two people watching right now. Let me know what you guys think about the options, and do you think Fabregas has a chance? And do you think Xabi Alonso, more importantly, has a chance of even coming to Chelsea with the structure and the way that the structure is as well? Let me know. All right, so I haven't gotten any responses in that aspect, so I'll just proceed. But yeah, as I said, Marco Silva has also been listed there. Areola, we know that he's an option that has been referenced for a while now, even by fans, even prior to this situation with Liam Rosenior being sacked and all that. So yeah, that's another key thing here. But as I said, Fabregas's tactics perhaps helps to make him be a big claim there. But we'll see what can happen going forwards. Okay, so what are your thoughts on the five coaches that have been listed here? I had mentioned prior about the coaches that are also on the list, but not in this thumbnail or in this picture that I'm showing here. Silva, of course, is one that's not in the picture. Only four coaches are seen here. Um, Simeone is one that was mentioned in the past week. So what do you think about the options that you've heard so far, Jerry?
Mhm. Yes. So the two options that stood out for me are like Xabi Alonso and Cesc Fabregas. So it's a no-brainer if it's me who is calling the shots. The list that you have shared, there are only two options: Xabi Alonso and Cesc Fabregas. So let's start with the options that should not be considered. Irola, high press, high line, chaos, attacking football, which is great. I love that. I loved Klopp's football. I loved Pochettino's football. I love Hansi Flick football. So people would say who know me like, bro, you love that football. Why? Because at the end of the day, I'm an analyst. I also have to be objective. Klopp for Liverpool was a different thing. Poch for Tottenham over 5 years was a different thing. Flick with Bayern Munich was a different thing, and I did not like what Flick did at Barcelona, even though if they'll win the league, that's another thing, right? So it depends. It's not that that's the difference. I hope they are making. I like attacking football over defensive football, so people know me from that perspective. But I don't have to entertain myself or say, okay, this is what I want. If I love that football, I can watch other clubs to fulfill the needs of my football. But if I want to think about the club, what's best for the club, then I have to be a professional, right? I don't have to say, okay, I want this. So Irola, and it's no way I'm like looking down at this guy. Who knows? He could be a great coach moving forward. He's still new. He has done well, I would say. A lot of people are making a lot of what he has accomplished. I think he has done the bare minimum to be a part of a discussion. The style is a problem because of the squad, because of the patterns from Pochettino days to Maresca to Liam Rosenior. We have seen the defensive issues. We don't have this defensive, the squad depth when it comes to defense. We don't have the players who have proved uh, over a long period of time. We have seen them making individual errors time in time out. That's one thing, of course, and we have also seen them collectively struggling. And this has been our weak area, and which made me say, not as a fan of Enzo Maresca, that Enzo Maresca's tactics or his system is good for Chelsea, because if anything, he is working with the defense, and his pragmatic approach suits Chelsea Football Club. So because I'm open minded, I would say what is best for the club, not for me. So that's why I think Arola's approach, unless he adapts change, which is a question mark, will not work on this squad, because the most important thing, I'm 100% certain about it, is we need to work on our defense. Of course, attacking areas, there are question marks, right? I'm not denying that, but we can't afford, if we have to win a league or a Champions League, or we have to consistently and progress in year in and year out. If we are leaking goals left, right, and center, individual mistakes, collectively we out of position, and all that comes with the defense. If there are so many issues, I think it's a bad approach to have Arola. And the other coaches like Diego Simeone, I think I think Simeone is a question mark, because when I say a question mark, of course, what he has done over what 15 years, something like that at Atletico Madrid is amazing, given the resources and winning two league titles, a couple of cups, and two Champions League finals. Is very good, but he uh, the thing that I'm looking at, if he is a realistic option, will he come? First of all, again, like we were talking about Conte, so Simeone is, if not even a more demanding character. I mean, if he is at least not at par, maybe a even more demanding character than Conte. And if he comes, his style of play is fine. He has a lot of experience, but I don't know. I think he. I don't know. After 15, 16 years, whatever, he may need. He may need to have some rest or time out. And the English language is also an issue. Like he don't speak English at this moment. So I think it's a risk. It's a big risk, especially like given the character of Simeone, to work with these with this ownership. So when it comes to Alonso and says Fabregas, bro, it's a close call, right? So Cesc Fabregas, of course, has the edge. What he has achieved with Bayer Leverkusen, it's obvious winning the league, which is something that a lot of people would look as one of the biggest accomplishment in the top five league in the last 20 years. And the second year was not the same, but again, we understand a lot of players were offloaded, so it's difficult. Um, Also won the cup. I think he lost the Europa League final to Atalanta, if I'm not wrong. And so he has he so his profile and his accomplishment gives him the edge if you just look at the CV or Cesc Fabregas. But then I would say, bro, why should I not consider Cesc Fabregas just because he has not yet coached or been given an opportunity at a club where he can actually win something? What he has done with Coma is itself like uh, it's outstanding. It's something no one would have imagined, right? So I don't know. It's a close call. I think over here it would probably come down to preference. I see Cesc Fabregas. Maybe then personally I would lean towards Cesc Fabregas because he is a little bit more pragmatic than Alonso and he's more technical. So I'm seeing long term, and I don't see that next year we will be challenging for the title. So if anything, Cesc Fabregas and this team can collectively grow together in this project. It has to be a long term project. If either of the coaches are appointed, it has to be a long term, not a contract, but they need to stick with the coach. I don't know. A lot of people think Cesc Fabregas is not ready and all that. So it's subjective, right? I think you are no matter if you're a player, that's my personal opinion, or a coach. Of course you can always improve, and you do improve over a period of time. There's a room for that. But if you are good, you are good. If you're not good, you won't be that good even after 10, 20, 30 years. So I'm convinced, looking at Cesc Fabregas tactics, of course I haven't followed all the Kuma games, so I won't say that. But looking at few games, analyzing his tactics and his everything, like I think he ticks, or sorry, all the boxes for me. He has played for Chelsea, Arsenal. Of course Alonso has played for Liverpool as well, so he knows the Premier League as well. And the only question mark is he's not ready, he hasn't won anything. But then, has he been given a chance? And Chelsea, where we are right now, we have gone back 3 years when Pochettino was appointed, when we finished 12th and we started a rebuild. So it's not that Enzo Maresca left and we have won, like last year, a Conference League and a Club World Cup and finished in the top four. Then I could understand if Maresca left at that time, then people would say, why are you going for Cesc Fabregas? Because we can challenge for the title this season. But if anything, we all know that. Like, I know it will go long. So just to conclude, we know maybe Enzo Fernandez will leave. Other things may happen in the summer. It will be a whole new rebuild. At best, we'll be challenging for the top 4, 5 next season. So Fabregas, for me, again, maybe it's a personal choice. It's close. I love Xabi Alonso. I think he's just amazing. But something inside of me just, it again, it's a gut feeling over here. It's so close. Alonso just have the edge with that title with Bayer Leverkusen and more experience. And of course, working with Real Madrid, although it may be, I mean, it can be translated as a failure based on Real Madrid standards, but he has had that experience working with the likes of Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Ferentino Perez, the press, the fans. So that is a big plus for Alonso. So I don't mind either way. Both coaches are good in terms of tactics. They a very compact structure. Alonso more of with a back three system, which may suit us even more, you know. And so either way, the team will have to rehearse. Maybe with Alonso, the team will probably gel again. These are things, some of are hypotheticals over here, right? We will only know once whoever will be appointed. With the back three, and with more discipline and the wing backs that Alonso use, I think the team may uh, start getting into his ideas quickly. With but then again, with Fabregas, it's a little bit different, right? his you need to really read and fit into his system. It's a very well rehearsed system, but then again, a lot of shades of are there from Enzo Maresca's system as well. So either way, I think if we can get Cesc Fabregas or Alonso, it will be huge for Chelsea Football Club. But that will only be the first step. We have to see if the ownership and the coach and the sporting directors can work over the period of time, and we don't have any issues that we had under the last few coaches, Tyrone.
Fair enough. Um, I'm gonna give a very cliche response and say that I'm indecisive still. I don't know who on this list would be the definitive response in my opinion. Uh, but as you said, and it's not on purpose, but Fabregas in the picture is the one that's at the forefront. Um, but right now, in terms of accolades and achievements, Xabi Alonso would of course be an option that I would definitely consider as a first choice in my opinion. I'm also taking into account the fact that we've heard that there's no definitive sort of thing to say that this is the final shortlist, or some of these names may eventually be removed because things can't proceed beyond a certain point. But at this juncture, I would say that my thoughts is more so that maybe it will be between Fabregas and Jabi Alonso. Jabi Alonso, in terms of success, he's been able to do wonders so far. He won I'm saying the Bayer Leverkusen. He won the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, being undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, in that league for that season. And then of course his only defeat came in that very famous final against Atalanta, as you mentioned, Jerry, where they lost 3-0. So in terms of what he's achieved, and of course, as you mentioned, the outcome at Real Madrid probably wasn't the best, but he did relatively okay um, in terms of what he was able to achieve and in terms of what they were doing at that time. Of course, during the Club World Cup, they made it very far in the Club World Cup as well. Um, and of course, we know that things could have gone better for them. But as you said, Ariola, definitely not the option that I want. He's very aggressive type of football, very high line esque. You're neglecting the defensive component. Not Fabregas. Felipe Luis, who's in this picture, has also been linked. It's been a smaller link, but if it's Felipe Luis, I think he's a very okay option. I've seen how when he was at well, I'm saying when he was at Flamengo, I've able to see how his aggressive, very composed, compact football has brought about some good results for him there in the Brazilian league. And I do believe that also he is a coach that really gives you that sort of diversity. He's not stuck to one way. He does revise it based on the opponent. So in terms of the picture I'm looking at right now, Ariola is at the back completely. Felipe Luis is ahead of him. Then you have Javier Alonso and Fabregas are slightly close to each other, but I do believe that in terms of what's possible, I'd say maybe Fabregas could be the one that we end up seeing happening based on this juncture right now. But Javier Alonso I would never say no to, because in terms of what he's done as a player, in terms of what he's done as a coach so far, especially as Fabregas. Fabregas hasn't had a chance to go anywhere else but Como, but we'll see what happens there. But as you said, I'm definitely not for Ariola. Diego Simeone, as you mentioned as well, there could be a fall down in terms of collaboration. Communication may also be a issue because, of course, his English isn't the greatest, at least at this very moment. So that's also something that I would have to probably take into account as well. But I'm going to look at the poll again. We have 10 votes now. Ariola has 22%. Fabregas has 33%. Javi Alonso has 33% as well. And other that's has 11%. So I want to see what persons think about that. So we have 11% saying other. I would like for whoever said other, if they're here, to tell me who that other would be in their opinion, because I'm seeing other, but I'm not sure who that is. So on the poll, it says please specify. But as you said, Jerry, in terms of the options right now, based on these options that are being referenced, I think it's between Fabregas and Xabi Alonso, if Xabi Alonso is indeed a possibility, as according to that report, with Liverpool keeping slot potentially.
Very well said. So I would like to ask you, like, I know you mentioned you are okay with both Alonso and Fabregas. Your preference is Alonso for obvious reasons, which cannot be understated. My question to you is, when it comes to the tactics of Cesc Fabregas, I mean, okay, the question mark is, okay, he's new. I mean, he's still new. He hasn't coached at the highest level, but when it comes to his tactics, his coaching, his discipline, his philosophy, and how technical he is. Like, I'm impressed. Like, I'm a huge fan already. Right, the deep lying defensive midfielder is the most important player who sets the tempo. And also he plays the full backs. I mean, the inverted full back. So when I was giving the reference to Enzo Maresca, that would be something that the team can progress from there. But anyways, so uh, apart from this uh, concern or this question about his experience and that he's still learning, because like, come on, Tyrone, people who know football can find out, like, just like that this is this player will become a top player. This coach will become a top coach. We all know that Cesc Fabregas is one of a kind, man. He's way too technical. What do you think about his tactics, and do you think if we go for him, that would help Chelsea and this young squad, not in the short term, but in the long term? I think you're mute. Can you check?
Yeah, I was muted, and that's very horrible because I was talking so many things a while ago. But I was saying that before you came on, I was mentioning the fact that Fabregas's way of playing is very I can't even say the word. What's going on? Possession based. And he utilizes a 4-2-3-1. So the picture here, it shows you the fact that his team sets up in a 4-2-3-1. So that is a key thing to reference as well. But at the same time, it's a case where, as you mentioned, the double pivot is often key. It's similar to what you said with Maresca, where the double pivot has two midfielders, of course. One of the midfielders would of course be more advanced at times, and of course it would have to be periodically as well, because if the fullbacks in the back four decide to push up, you need person to drop deep so that they can support the centre backs, who of course will be outnumbered in a counter attack sort of system or structure. But the way in which they build is very progressive. They try to utilize a situation as I mentioned, but you guys weren't able to hear it. And in the picture as well, it looks more so like a 3-2-3-2. Of course, one player is missing in the picture, but essentially able to see the 3-2-2. We have the number 5, the number 2, and the 40 and number 41, creating somewhat of a three. And then of course you have the double pivot with one um, person, although not being a midfielder necessarily, being a fullback is also pushed up beyond that. But so it gives the player who has the ball, at least in this picture is the number five, that chance to to have enough passing lanes to use. And of course, if he decides to make a pass there, it would force the number 33 to go towards him. If and then they have a player who's marking the number 23. So if he makes the pass or tries to make the pass, it, it it poses different challenges for the team that of course is trying to defend, because if they move one space it can also give them the chance to pass the ball back to the number 41 or to progress the ball to number 80. But yeah, so in terms of the way he plays, it's very much synonymous with the way we saw Maresca play with the team, in terms of the fullbacks pushing up, inverting as well to help the supporting or the one midfielder who would needs the support. And then of course we have like an inward, a winger who moves inward, and a 10 that will try to adjust across that attacking area from the flanks, and that diamond shape, that of course creating that diamond sort of structure from defense to the attack. So that part is very crucial. We'll try to share this picture as well, because this picture would give an idea of what I mean by a diamond specifically as well. So I'll just bring this back up and just share this screenshot. All right, so perfect. So this is a representation of it. This is from a different game, however, but you can see it again once more. As I mentioned, this more so looks like a 3-2-3-2 again. The attackers are not really being seen completely. This is more from them building up, so you're not going to see the attackers, but you do see one attacker or one player or fullback right there as well. So it comes at a three, slightly 3-1-3-2. So he uses different sort of structures. It looks abnormal, and I don't think anybody has mentioned these things before in terms of when you analyze in what team players are stationed or position. But as I said, it's a 3-2-3-2 structure typically, and it can vary from a 3-1-3-2, and among other things as well. So, or you can probably just call it a 3-1-4-2. So that is the case as well. So in terms of how he plays or how his teams are supposed to play, it's very interesting, and that is why I'm okay with it. Fabregas is a very wonderful former player, so he has the capabilities of having an idea of, okay, I want the team to play this way, because he was a beautiful ball playing midfielder, or creating good chances, deep line playmaker at times, being a playmaker, being advanced as well, although not being the quickest midfielder during his time at Chelsea, Arsenal, and Barcelona as well, and even for Spain.
Yeah, very impressive talk on the analysis, and I completely agree with you. Especially the visuals also help, and of course your knowledge as a coach yourself. So yeah, I agree with you, and this is why, like I'm saying, look, it's not a risk. If you take out the experience thing, right? The squad itself is young, and we are in a transition, big transition. You would agree, right? Once again, with rehall players probably will leave, so it's not that we'll be challenging for the title, right? And of course, who knows, maybe Cesc can do that immediately. But if you have to be realistic, then he can of course take his time to learn on the job. So I'll be okay with that, with all the years with them experimenting, making mistakes, getting right or wrong managers, but not giving them time. I mean, Alonso, I can't you know say that it's a wrong choice, because I do like Alonso a lot, but I like says Fabregas more when it comes to his tactics. His tactics, accomplishment, XYZ, profile. Alonso, of course, I can't dispute. I can't agree. Sorry, challenge that, or I can't say no. Because that's a fact. But when it comes to the tactics, and when it comes to, as I said, back three of Alonso and very structured as well, will also help Chelsea. It won't be a difficult transition. But with Cesc Fabregas, and when I say Enzo Maresca, it's same like that of Guardiola and other coaches and all the disciples of Guardiola, that it's it's not exactly the same. Of course, he has his own ways, and he's still inventing and always reinventing the process. But the fundamentals, of course, you can do so much when it comes to tactics, like, right. The fundamentals are the same, as you said, the inverted fullbacks, which he uses in every time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't. Every time you have the inverted fullbacks, and as you said, rightly so, defensive, the deep line, sorry, playmaker, that playmaker is the most important player who dictates the tempo. Very much his own DNA, right? Very much his own DNA, his style. So we can understand where he's coming from, and the numerical advantage that Enzo Maresca used to create, especially in the against bigger teams. So it's very structured. Again, my observation on whatever I've seen and observed and research on Fabregas, the only difference is that he's more attacking than if we compare to with Enzo Maresca. He's more attacking, and he's not that pragmatic. Like, he would take chances with the team moving forward. So which is a plus with the structure. But the only thing is that the midfield, they always rotate. So it's structured, it's very innovative, but at the same time, like, it depends on the ball and off the ball. They have different roles and they have to adapt, so it has to be very well rehearsed. Everyone needs to know their role. So it excites me with the possibility of what is in front of us if Fabregas can be appointed. And again, a lot of overthinking, or having a lot of, you can say, control sometimes may not be good. But I think this team requires uh, a coach with a discipline, with a structure, and to make sure that everyone knows their role, and this will strengthen both the defense and the offense. So I'm very excited. I for one, in particular, I'm not concerned at all about his lack of experience. So I would still prefer him over Alonso. But if Alonso is the coach, I'm still very happy.
Fair enough. But yeah, so I'm sure that persons are able to understand. So we're 40 minutes away from the 2 hour mark. I think I don't know if there's any obsolete thing we haven't talked about, but I think we can, of course, decide to probably discuss. Well, okay. You did mention the reason why Ariola is probably not at the top of your list. Um, and you
Yeah,
mentioned,
I mean, again, just to say, because I respect people who are involved in this industry. Because this game, just like you, is part of my life. So I don't want to disrespect anyone. So maybe I was a bit like, very. I mean, I was abrupt when I said that I don't want Irola because of that, not because of him and his style of play. I also said that I like his style of play, like the kind of the high line with Klopp and Poch. That's not a problem with me. But the squad is not ready. And it's not an opinion. We have a 3 years of sample size. The squad suffers with high line, high press. They are not rehearsed. They don't have that physicality and the pace, collectively. And they struggle. And our defense alone, I mean, to play that system, you need to have a solid defense, You need to have a lot. Of course, full backs are the most important players when it comes to a high line and high press. But then again, you need to rely a lot on the defense to do their job. And if the defense is not doing their job, they are not rehearsed. They are out of position, and they are making individual mistakes. So not only you're playing a risky football, but at the same time, your back or your defense line is not complementing it. So it's a huge risk, if anything. That is the only reason, and that is it. That I think Ariola's style of play, when we are talking about, would not suit this current Chelsea squad unless they completely change over the next two windows and they have a different idea. So, and again, the game is, and the other reason is that I'm always like trying to see what's next. Just like you, I'm like not relying or sitting back what worked 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 7 years ago. So high line and high press, as much as I loved under Klopp and other managers, may not be the way moving forward now. The gap is is coming close and close because a lot of mid-table teams have investment now as well, have all the technology, the analysis, the coaching. So if every team plays like that, right, it's difficult to sustain over 38 games. So you need to be pragmatic. You need to have more tactics and discipline. So I'm very much open with this idea that I think moving forward, technical football will perhaps be more important than ever before. Personally, as I said, I think not just me personally. If we talk about generally the common fan on the street, they who would mind watching an attacking, crazy football? But again, we are not talking about what entertains me, but what's best for Chelsea Football Club. Darren.
Interesting. This is a late. This is a late. This is around 24 minutes ago. 34 minutes ago. I didn't even notice. But look at this. So Xabi Alonso was. I don't know about the credibility of this source. They got it. There is an Argentinian news source. They said Xabi Alonso is shaping up as the main candidate to replace Liam Rosenior as Chelsea head coach. I don't know what you think about this. I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. But what do you think about this report from TYC? They could have probably framed me and say it's me, sports, if you know what I mean, Jerry.
Yeah, look, again, it's so difficult. And unless you're an Einstein of this world, that's the only person, along with a few, that I could trust to a higher degree. It's difficult to say. It's normal. They're talking. They may announce the manager in 2 weeks. They may take another 6 weeks or 2 months to announce the manager. So we don't know. It's a talk. It may progress. It may not progress. They may come back to him. We have seen this cycle, Tyrone, again and again and again. So we don't know. No one knows about it. But like, I mean, I'm sure they had a talk. I'm sure they had a talk. Maybe they're still having a talk as we are doing this show. But, and they are probably interested in him. Why not? Why not? That would be crazy if he's not in the top two, top three candidates and they are not interested in him. And if it's true, so all I want to add, and or rather add in yes, and to conclude with it, by saying that if it's true that Liverpool, which is odd, which is crazy, if they want to stick with Slot, with all due respect, then it will make more sense than that Alonso to Chelsea could be a possibility, to could be a strong possibility. Am I excited? Yes, but at the same time, you know what? I want Cesc Fabregas.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so that's a very interesting point there. But I'm gonna just buy this word this year because it was very interesting to see that that is a supposed development here. I'm gonna go into what Vince said here because Vince also tweeted something. Um, so this is what he says. So tell me a good reason why you don't want this guy as Chelsea head coach. Do you know how silly it will sound if we jump this guy and appoint Areola or Silva?
So I
Um,
agree. I agree with his tweet because he did not mention Cesc Fabregas.
mhm.
If he had gone for Cesc Fabregas, how crazy it was that I would have disagreed. But the two names that he mentioned, as I said, I really like Alonso. But if I have a choice, I explained you why. It's close, but I would lean towards Cesc Fabregas for the reasons I mentioned. That we are looking now, but I think in a few years, okay, so in short, what I'm saying, the way I look at football, I could be right, wrong. Everyone can be, and they are not always right or wrong. But for me, if we say we are in 26, if we look back and hopefully we are healthy and alive, and if we look back in 2036, who has achieved more? Then I would say Cesc Fabregas over Alonso. On
Mhm.
that notion, I'm not looking. He has never worked. He's new. He's not gotten a chance. So why would I disregard Cesc Fabregas? But I really like Alonso. I wouldn't mind that at all. And if it's Irola or if it's like um someone, like, with all due respect, that we haven't heard of, or a manager, or Wayne Rooney, for example, their trend, or someone from their own project who is taking this job, then it will be a concern. And I don't know. Alonso and Fabregas are the only two options right now. If we go back for Tuchel, I'll be excited about that as well. Of course, there are so many options. Julian Nagelsmann, how interesting, we haven't talked. I'm like a massive fan of Nagelsmann. Probably we didn't talk because he's not linked. He's, of course, a head coach of Germany, but we know he will
There was
leave
a
Germany.
report about him, though. There was a report about him. That is why I decided not to share that.
Okay, so can you brief me and the audience, if you don't mind?
But the funny thing is, you shared it with me, so I'm surprised that you don't even know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
oh, oh! I thought it's from today. So things always change. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I thought it's something developing. Yeah, at that time, yes, at that
There it
time,
is,
like 4 days,
and it was
bro.
from
Four
Matt
five
Law.
days. 4 5 days for me is like 4 5 years. But yeah, go ahead, sir.
But as you see here, it says that Julian Nagelsmann is not interested in becoming Chelsea. I don't know why he has manager here, but head coach, Chelsea head coach. That's from Matt Law from 6 days ago, actually.
So we have more options. What I'm saying, I mean, this candidate, like, of course, there's nothing much to say. I mean, there's a lot to say, but there's no need to say right now. We'll only say if there is a link. I mean, I won't mind Nagelsmann at all, if it can become a possibility. So we have this option as well. We have Tuchel, but Tuchel has extended his contract with England, right? After 26. Uh, is that
Mm,
correct?
interesting.
I think so. So Deschamps could be an option. So what do you like? Let's say if we are still looking and we haven't decided, and the World Cup start, we know that Zidane will manage France after the World Cup. What do you, not both for Nagelsmann, Deschamps, and any other coach you want to mention, like when it comes to Chelsea?
Can't think of anybody other than that. I don't think so.
Yeah, so we do have other options, of course. Alonso, obviously, he's available. Says Fabregas. I know he's in a contract, but we can. I mean, if we give him an opportunity, I'm sure that the deal can be done. And Deschamps, after the World Cup, is available. Nagelsmann is available. I mean, it's supposedly available. When I say supposedly, you never know. He may extend the contract. Um, so yeah, I mean, these. I mean, there could be other options as well. Uh, Upcoming coaches from Bundesliga, from Liga, from the Championship. So, but again, Tyrone, having said all of that in a deep dive that we did, at the end of the day, even if we get the right manager, for me, the most important thing, or the question is, will that manager stay after at Chelsea Football Club after, let's say, a year, or will there be another falling with the board?
Mhm. But as I said, my mind in terms of options, it's not really at the highest point right now because I'm thinking about the structure that they're trying to keep, and nobody's going to be that compliant and going to be just accepting and just rolling over and being a yes man to that extent, especially somebody that is top level, which is why I don't buy anything about no top level thing, because no top level coach is going to come in and just say, okay, you won't have any final say, you'll just be briefed on what you have in mind. You'll have an input because yeah, we have to ensure that you know what we're going to do. We can't just do things without you knowing, but you won't make the decision. So if you want, for example, a Lionel Messi type of player, you're not going to get that. We're going to give you a player that is not even close to that level. We're going to give you a Garnacho. So and you saw that in terms of the players that they could get. And I don't really want to mention the ownership, but I've already told you what my grievances are with it. I have no problem with you signing young players, but ensure that the young players that you're signing are actually worth you signing them. We saw Olise go to Bayern Munich. although he was on his knees for Chelsea. But no, we didn't want to give him a certain amount of money because you have to prove your worth before you do that. And that's the irony. You decide to spend so much money on players who've not proven their worth, but you think that they have. So you go and sign them instead, and then in the end you get players who are mediocre or players who are not able to deliver what you wanted or expect them to. And at the end of the day, you're met with this. So yeah, it's not about signing young players for me. It's about the type of young players that they're signing. So you could sign an Olise. No, we're gonna give you a Gittins instead. Or and as much as Neto hasn't really been doing good, I think he was an okay signing. It wasn't that Cherky who were linked with for years, but attitude problems was the rumor. I haven't heard any attitude problems at City. Maybe it's happened and they're just private with it. But that's another thing. And he was very young then. We didn't get Cherky when he was at his biggest time at Lyon. But what do you have to say, Jerry?
Bro, to start with, I'm not going to say anything, so don't worry about it. We both have heard a lot about attitude problems of certain individuals, supposedly. That's all I want to say, right? I'm sure you are getting me, right, Tyrone? I'm sure you're getting me. The attitude problem. So like personally, like how people talk about attitude problems. So yeah, uh, bro, what can I say about the squad and the Ryan Cherkies of this world and the Elises of this world? So of course that was a miss. That was a miss. Certainly, that was a miss, especially Olise. But then again, over here we disagree in terms of if they had paid him 200K or whatever that was, then the Cole Palmers and Enzo Fernandez of this world would have issues. So I understand that as well. So that's definitely a topic for another day. But when it comes to the coaches, I really appreciate your time for taking. For taking the time to talk about this important topic that every Chelsea fan is interested in. They are checking each hour the updates, and they're having a discussion among themselves at school, at work, with friends in their home, outside their home, whatever they're doing. So this is a very important topic, and you have given great insights. And I think we both probably, for both of us, I can say that in in a different order, but the top two coaches for you, number one, Alonso. Your number one choice, Alonso, and then Fabregas. Mine is Fabregas, and then Alonso. So let's hope we can get one of these two. Um, So, Tyrone, I know it's been a long stream, and the fans, Chelsea fans, and other fans would be excited to see a heavyweight PSG Bayern Munich in the next 30 minutes. So, I would like to ask no matter which coach we end up with, how do you see the next year? How optimistic you are? It's an early question. It's an early question, but of course, it's part of the discussion. And what do you think will be the expectation for the next season, Tyrone?
The expectations would be the same one as they've had this year, which is to ensure that qualification for Champions League is there. The thing is, I've lost any optimism that I would have had before for this project. I have no confidence that we're going to actually go up and even challenge for the Premier League in this next 3 years. I don't see it. We've had our conversation before about maybe we could have been challenging for the league if we had signed certain players or if certain managers had stayed or coaches. But with the trajectory which I've seen how they've been operating, the owners that is, and the sporting project, I haven't had any confidence that no matter who these coaches are, they're going to stay long, because no coach that respects themselves is going to come into a situation where they are going to be undermined. They're going to be usurped of responsibility. They're not going to have the final say in certain things. So they're going to be forced to work with some players that maybe they didn't want, and they know that probably they can't get the best out of, because that's the next thing people don't talk about. Certain coaches don't want to work with certain players because they know that they can't get the best out of them, which is good. If you know that you can't get the best out of the players, don't try to get them coming into the club, or don't try to get them be advocated for, because at the end of the day, you know that you're not going to get the best out of them. But what happened is that we're in this situation now. We have to accept the reality as what it is. but I have no optimism. I remember saying that Chelsea is going to finish seventh. I said that at the beginning of the season. People laughed at me and said that I was talking garbage, because at the end of the day, it's called using your brain. As I said, Maresca won two trophies. Maybe when he first came in, he was willing to be compliant and not ask any questions. But after you win things, or after you've had a feeling of something that you believe is so fantastic, you're not going to have that same perspective and perception, because as you experience things and you go on a more experience, you become a different person and you learn how to do things, and you probably advocate for yourself even more because you know what you're able to do based on what you've achieved. So that is why I said I was going to finish seventh, because I knew that, for one, we didn't sign players that deserved to be at the club, and that's not about arrogance or believing that Chelsea is bigger than any player, or anything about that. But it's about the fact that the players that they signed, it was a downgrade to the players that they supposed they were going to replace. So that is why I don't have any confidence in that, because we're not going to get Champions League football, and I know a lot of the players that are top or can probably uplift this team or bring the team to the next level, they may not come to a team that is not in the Champions League when other teams are going to be looking to get them. And I expect certain players to leave. Enzo Fernandez, although he's not my favorite player, he does offer things at certain time, and he's better than what we will be left with, or the option that we could get. So that is my biggest concern there. So I'm not optimistic for next season unless I see some signings that are actually going to uplift the team, and also if I see a coach that actually is going to be willing to work with this, and they will remain humble, even if they achieve success going forward, as we progress further with all of this. So that's just my blunt and harsh reality and truth, because I just don't have any confidence in this project anymore based on what I've seen. As I said, we've gone through 5 managers or 5 head coaches, and we are still at the same place. And if anything, we keep regressing rather than progressing to what we were promised. That would just take 4 windows as well.
Yes, Tyrone, I agree with you, and that is exactly the feeling and the understanding in my camp. Let's see how things progress. The appointment of the head coach, the new head coach, whenever it will be done, the summer transfer window, and let's see if the dust will settle before the start of the next season. And of course, we still have something to celebrate, which remains to be seen, a big clash against City at Wembley in the FA Cup final. So thank you, Tyrone, and thank you for everyone who tuned in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with everyone you know across this world, and become a part of the discussion. And thank you to Miss Melina, to Jordan, and to Boss Coachella for joining the stream, among others, of course. And yes, Tyrone, and thank you so much for to you again for having me. And from my side, I will still say, come on, you Blues.
Okay, sir. Fair enough. Thank you very much. This went longer than I thought it would move. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you to those who dropped a like, who have subscribed as well, because I garnered one subscriber from the stream, and also the post. One before I end the stream, I'm just going to read the poll again. So we've had 12 votes now. 20% Iraola Fabregas, 30% said Xabi Alonso, and only 10% said other, but body specified. But thank you very much to those who voted on the poll. It'll be interesting to see who will come in, but we'll see when, we've this is going to be a rigorous, very prolonged decision before any such thing will be decided on. Be the new permanent head coach succeed. Rosenior, and of course, take the realm, or take the reins, I should say, who's the interim until the season. But thank you very much, guys. When I see you, and enjoy the Champions League match, Bayern Munich and PSG, in a couple of minutes, less than 30 minutes from now.
Hit play, we're live. Little spark in the Hey! Yeah. Stop! Clear the tunnel. Check the stats. The clock is ticking. Welcome to the show. Check the pulse. Feel the heat. Every blade of grass, every heart in the seat. 22 men, but there's only one crown. We don't come to play, we come to shut it down. Calculated movement. Precision in the stride. Turn the volume up. Flicker on the light. We're under the lights. Yeah, we're chasing the glory. 90 on the clock. We're riding the story. 0 to 100. Never looking back. Light 'em up. Break 'em down. Stay on the attack. This is the moment. This is the stage. Flip the script. Yo, we're turning the page. This is the moment. This is the stage. Ice in the veins when the pressure gets heavy. Wall in the back, keep the front line steady. One touch, one shot, one chance to be great. History is calling, don't leave it to fate. From the first whistle to the final scream, living for the badge, dying for the dream. Game over, but the grind never stops. See you on the pitch, made to silence. Oh, fade to silence.